The Ryan Goodman and Tangway podcast is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network. This special edition of the Bob Ryan, Jeff Goodman, Tangway Along for the Ride podcast and Zoom is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Just visit FanDuel.com/Boston and new customers get a no-sweat first bet of up to $1,000. Guys, breaking news this morning or late last night that the Celtics have pulled off a deal where Porzingis, the big 7'3" guy, comes from Washington to Boston. Marcus Smart, much to the dismay of one Robert Ryan, is going to go to Memphis. There are other moving parts of the deal, and the Celtics could move up in the draft, but that's pretty much the gist of it. Bob, your thoughts?
As I told you guys last time, I had come around to the resignation that maybe Smart would be sacrificed or utilized at this point. I've come to grips with that. It's okay. I like him, of course. I'll always be a member of the fan club. I wish him well. I'm okay. I'm more concerned about who we got than who we lost. I'm assuming, by the way, guys, that this reason that Brogdon was X'd out of the deal isn't going to be permanent or anything, that the Celtics are going to have a healthy Brogdon next year or not. Is that I don't quite understand that part. Okay.
So my thought on that, Bob, was the Clippers just didn't have enough information, and it was the 11th hour. They had to make a decision. They just didn't have enough information to feel confident that Brogdon might not be out an extended amount of time. So that's why they didn't do the deal. The Celtics are pretty confident that it's not going to be a long.
All right. So now we get to the thing. I'm not crazy about this. I'm not going crazy. And I'm not a big fan of this guy. Okay. He's 7'3" going on 6'2", the way he plays basketball. The last thing that I needed in my Celtic life was another guy cranking up stupid threes. And that's what they want. So, all right, I guess we're going to have to agree to disagree on that one. But this guy is 7'3", and he plays small. He always plays small. I don't care. He averaged 8 rebounds a game for a career almost, and I don't know where they came from. But, it's like Harden's assist. I don't know where they come from. I think they cheat. But anyway, I'm just going to be wait and see. I'm not a fan of this guy. I have one more question, and that is, why is he on his 4th team in 7 years? So, thank you.
All right, so I'll try to be the voice of reason here. I'm kind of on the side of liking it more than not liking it. I don't know if I love it, but I think you had to do something. You got a guy in here who could go for 25 on any given night. And you traded a guy who's a 32% three-point shooter. And it's not like Porzingis is on this long contract. That's the good thing, Bob. He's got 1 year left. He's got 1 year left. Marcus Smart had 3. So if Porzingis doesn't work out, you can get him off the books in a year. If he does, you got a pretty good 1-2-3 punch now, because what Porzingis also offers you is some rim protection at 7'3" when Robert Williams is not able to play.
CLNS Media's Celtics coverage is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win.
Horford's getting older. Do I love Porzingis? No, but I like him enough to tell me if he's your number 3 scoring option, that's pretty good. And you kept Brogdon. So you have Brogdon and Derek White, two guys that shoot it. Now here's what it does. It tells me that there's nobody on the court now who I worry about when they shoot the 3, where before it was like every time Marcus shot the 3, what'd you do? You're like, oh no, here we go again. So there's nobody now on the court for the Celtics that, to me, Jaylen Brown's probably their worst 3-point shooter.
Well, clearly they're doubling down on this theory about how they're going to play basketball by bringing in a guy who, so whether he's 5'3", 6'3", or 7'3", he's a 3-point shooter, and that's his raison d'etre, which, this is where we are in 2023. I understand that. So I'm saying I'm not denouncing the guy, guys. I'm just not crazy about the guy.
No, we understand. Bob, you make a very good point about this. This is 4th team. We understand that. Also, with big guys, you worry about injuries. His numbers did go up last year with Washington, where he was averaging, in the high 20s.
So he can score. To me, the way I look at it is I think they're a better team. And I think they're a better team because the air in the room needed to change. And I think Marcus was the fall guy, whether you want to see it that way or not. I was never crazy about Marcus. I was only crazy about Marcus when he would distribute the ball. But now this is probably going to give more room for Brogdon to play. This is going to give more room for their other guards to play, where Marcus doesn't have to be in the game at the end of the game. So it clears the way for some other guys who are just as good, in my opinion. And you didn't trade Jaylen Brown. I think the team got better.
Gary, what I worry about, here's what I worry about with getting rid of Smart is you say the culture needed to change. I'll say, who's that dude now? And the staff will be older. That might help here, right? Sell guys like that. But who are the guys on the team now who are going to show any emotion? Give me one. Give me one right now. I'll get on the line for you. Tatum, 0. Jaylen Brown, basically 0. Robert Williams, 0. Horford, minimal. In the playoffs, he kind of got into guys a little bit with some emotion. Brogdon and Derek White, 0. Grant Williams, yes, but nobody's going to follow
if he's still here.
Right.
But it didn't work, Jeff. It didn't. Last year, it didn't work.
I'm not saying you didn't need to do something. You did. You did. I think now, if you're Brad Stevens, you need to add one veteran who's really strong in the locker room.
Well, is that
I don't know who it is.
Is that your assistant coach?
But you need a guy in the locker room too. You need one guy in the locker room who's going to be have rings. That's what I want to get. Whoever you're going to bring in now, Brad, bring in a guy who's got rings, because that's maybe the only thing these guys are going to listen to at this point, that if they get up in them. I don't know. I mean, I don't know who that is. I'd have to look, but there's got to be somebody out there who wants to win a title that's got some rings and who's got some experience and is unafraid to get up, like a PJ Tucker type. Again, we've been talking about PJ for years. There's not many guys like him, but somebody like that who's got that. I'd bring in Udonis Haslem and pay him a shit ton of money to be the 13th guy.
Bob, final thoughts as we wrap this up.
That we had the question answered as to whether they would stand pat or not. Clearly, they made a decision that it wasn't, that they needed to change. We wondered, that was an open question. It wasn't a guarantee that they were going to do anything this significant. Not for me. I wanted to see. Okay, fine. And let's just reflect quickly. Marcus Smart was always an unusual player, to say the least, right? And he was a highly flawed, but also a highly unusual player who made plays that nobody else makes, and he served the Celtics well. So I hope people look basically fondly back on Marcus Smart. He was I think he certainly played hard, gave you everything he had, and he is what he is, and I thank him for his service.
Gary, one more quick thing that we didn't talk about. They moved up from 35 to 25 in the draft.
They're in the draft now.
And they have Golden State's pick next year. And who knows with Golden State? Like, listen, we'll see, but those guys aren't young. What if Steph gets hurt? Like, that pick has potential value here.
Yeah.
So you listen, Marcus Smart, if you had told me straight up Marcus Smart for Porzingis, I might have done it. And you're moving up from 35 to 25, which could be huge. Or significant, maybe not huge, but significant. And you're adding another first-round pick, Golden State's, which could have some value. So I thought Brad Stevens did a hell of a job here.
And Gallinari, we hardly knew you.
Right. We didn't know you. We didn't know you at
all.
We
didn't know you. All right, guys. Great job. Jeff is busy at the NBA draft. We'll be following you on Twitter. As always, we're following Bob Ryan on Twitter because he just tweets about everything from Sinatra to the 1969 Mets. So who the hell knows what's coming next. But, guys, a pleasure. This special edition of Bob Ryan, Jeff Goodman, tagging along for the Ride Pod and Zoom, brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Just visit FanDuel.com/Boston. And new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Gentlemen, we'll see you later.
Okay, guys.
CLNS Media Celtics coverage is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win.